It's the end of the day with Ray. Hello, my friends. We're going to jump on the Sharp Interactive board, and we're going to go through Sharp's first quarter. Their numbers came out this morning. But ladies and gentlemen, what I'm excited about with Sharp is that when I look at that 8K ecosystems where those MFPs live, I'm seeing some really cool stuff going on. Sales increasing, dealers getting excited about Sharp, big dealers calling up Sharp for the first time. I'm convinced that Sharp and Kyocera both have great opportunity to go seize and take away Konica and Ricoh's dealers. They really do. And folks, you know, for a long time, we always saw Konica and Ricoh as what? Mainstream players. We always saw Sharp as Kyocera as what? Oh, they're for the little guys. Folks, I think we're going to flip the script. Both Kyocera and Sharp have high top-line numbers. Both Kyocera and Sharp know how to make money. Both Kyocera and Sharp are paying attention to the marketplace, I believe, much closer than Ricoh and Konica. Ricoh and Konica have spent the last decade trying to integrate broader services into their deliverable. And it's been not going very well. It's been 10 years of on-the-job training in my mind. And unfortunately, I believe they should have got trained, because now it's probably too late. Economic pressures we're in, as the world changes and the challenges around the world, we can't have on-the-job training. We need to have bold leaderships that can take these companies to the next place. And I believe Sharp and Kyocera are positioned well to cause havoc to status quo, are positioned well to go entertain dealers on an alternative to both Konica and Ricoh. Folks, let's just face it, we got to have consolidation. Consolidation can come by people meeting in boardrooms and merging, or consolidation can come by people taking away great relationships from a competitor because they go into the marketplace and they deliver better experiences. That's the reality of the world. And we need consolidation. And I think it's time that we need some tougher competition. So let's get ready, folks. Let's fight. Let's change the game. And Kyocera Sharp, you're in position to lead that charge. Go get them, guys. So without any further ado, let's jump on the Sharp Interactive board. First thing I want to do is I wanted to go back 2 years before this quarter. Let's see what they did to those 2 years combined. So in Sharp's case, their net sales were $36.2 billion for the 2 years prior to this quarter. And their operating profit was $1,244 million. So folks, $1,244 million in operating profit. No losses, right? They had top line revenue of $36.2 billion. That's $18 billion a year in revenue, right? Players, they're out there shaking things up. Let's see what they did this quarter. For this quarter, total company was $4,166 million with an operating profit of $45.2 million. That operating profit percentages was 1.1%. Nothing to shoot fireworks off about. They need to raise it. I'm going to talk about why I believe it's where it's at. And this is some of the cautionary tales you got to have when you're looking at financials on a quarterly basis. Because things can happen in a quarter and the next quarter can be impacted. So the decisions you make in one quarter might cost you some operating profit, but it could turn out for you to be a home run in the following quarter. So we'll share that in a little bit. But they did put $200 million to the bottom line through a gain on a step acquisition with Saki Display Products. So $200 million to the bottom line is nothing to sneeze at. Sharp's a player. For the 27 months, as I compare them like I did the other folks, for the 27 months, they did $40.3 billion in revenue, and they have an operating profit of $1,289 million. So you can see, much better position than Konica, much better position than Ricoh over those last 2 years where the world was pretty tough. And we're just in the eye of the storm, right? The world's going to be tough going forward. You know, who do you want to play with? People that know how to make money or people that are starved for cash? So let's move on. So let's look at this 8K ecosystem where the MFPs live. First thing I want to do is I want to congratulate Mike and his team here in the U.S. and all the leadership selling those MFPs around the world, because y'all did great. You know, you're getting people to look at Sharp that didn't look at them before. You're getting bigger dealers calling you up. You're delivering equipment. A lot of people are saying a lot better than the other OEMs. You haven't been impacted as much. you're doing some right things and you're getting noticed. So congratulations for that. But let's look at the numbers. Top line number, $1,034 million. Operating profit, $31.8 million, 3.1%. Folks, let's compare that 8K ecosystem where those MFPs are to Konica and Ricoh's print business. Okay, over there, it's digital workplace and professional print. Those two groups did 184 billion yen, or $1,361 million. They had an operating profit of a loss of 49.8 million. A loss. So think about it. And we know what their loss was for the 27 months. It was huge. It was almost $400 million. So like I said, Sharp and Kyocera are in a great position to go take advantage of some of the competitors' weaknesses. You're going to have to get tough, but winning isn't easy. So ladies and gentlemen, let's look at the Smart Life business. $813 million in top line revenue and $52.4 million in operating profit. Making money, okay? Now let's talk about some of the challenges that Sharp's having. I'm going to start right here. ICT business. They did $517.3 million. They had a loss of $18.4 million. But here's what I'm going to share with you. And I look at this global manufacturing, these global players. Their cost to manufacture, it's fixed. And if you don't have the top line revenue coming in, that fixed costs will start eating into your operating profit, right? And they had a 12.7% decline year over year in top line revenue, which definitely impacted their bottom line or their operating profit. And the tricky part about quarterly financials with global manufacturers is you can't just shut down the factory. You can't cut your cost, because the next quarter you got to be in position to overcome what you might have not been able to handle the first quarter. And if you listen to what they're saying, the impacts, the bottlenecks, and supply chain, and the Shanghai, so all these things are starting to lighten up a little bit. So they couldn't go over there and just start hacking cost in the manufacturing aspect of their business, because then they wouldn't be able to produce what they needed to do to take advantage of the fact that everything's kind of opening back up again. And so you have to be really careful. You have to be able to balance those fixed costs with the realities of the output. And that's a tough thing to do, but I'm convinced that Sharp can do that because they're pretty astute to their financials. Let's look at their electronic device. It's the same type of scenario, folks. They did $509 million top line revenue. They had a zero operating profit. Zero is terrible, but below the line is a lot worse, right? But look at this. Their year-on-year sales were minus 28.6%. Year-on-year sales, 28.6%. So, folks, you can't just shut everything down for a quarter. It'll be really interesting to see how they do this next quarter. It'll be really interesting to see how they pull this out. Display business, $1.4 billion in top line revenue. They had a profit of $4.4 million. That's slim. That's like 0.3%. 0.3%. But again, year on year, top line revenue down 11.2%. So, bottom line is, maybe they came back with their costs too quick and they weren't able to deliver those products into the marketplace based on the world's conditions. But the world's conditions are going to be challenging. And this will be a challenge for Sharp to make sure they align their costs with the retail output. But folks, let me just sum it up this way. Sharp's a global player. They make a lot of cool stuff. The world's going to buy their cool stuff. They're a company that makes fantastic glass applications, owned by Foxconn, right? But they do have some challenges. Sharp will be faced with challenges like everybody else as geopolitics plays more and more into our industry. And I'm going to talk a lot more about the geopolitics impacts in upcoming episodes. But Sharp has good leadership. Sharp went through this pandemic from the print perspective pretty damn good. When you think about how they delivered to the dealers, when you think about how they grew relationships with dealers, nobody's talking bad about Sharp. Nobody's looking at Sharp saying they're losing all kinds of money. Sharp will have to make tough decisions to get through the next challenges. But like I said in a couple other videos, and I said it again here today, who do you want to be with? Organizations that know how to make money, or organizations that are starved for cash, that are still, after 10 years, performing on-the-job training to try to implement some of the things that they did, some of the assets they bought. And that's what I see with both Ricoh and Konica. I see two organizations with on-the-job training, and now, when nobody's trained right, well, it's going to cause you problems. And I believe that you're going to have competitors knocking on your customers' doors. And so I'm going to say it one last time before we close for the weekend. Kyocera and Sharp, go get them. Go get them. Fight for the business. Let's consolidate the industry. Let's change the game, because everybody watching me knows this. Status quo is the killer of all that'll be invented. Don't get stuck in status quo, and I'll see y'all later.